Hi, this is Dan, and I'm going to install a NOGOSWITCH full kit in this custom Ford Galaxie. First thing we're going to do is scan our QR code on the inside of the top of the box and pull up the installation instructions. That'll show us how to mount the kill switch and leads, our horn and lead, our ignition leads, and finally the NOGOSWITCH, and then we're going to connect it all together and use some zip ties and some heat shrink to tidy it up when we're done. Here's the tools we're going to use: a drill with a Phillips bit, some wire crimpers, 10mm wrench, or you can use a socket, Phillips screwdriver, and some wire cutters. And remember, you're going to want to disconnect your negative ground cable when you get started, and we'll reconnect that last thing. Next, we're going to install the kill switch inside the cab. This can be installed anywhere, but for convenience, we're going to put it in the cab. We're going to put it in a hidden location, and then we're going to run the two kill switch leads outside into the engine bay. Now we're going to pull our kill switch leads through the firewall. We're going to route them up the fender well here and up into the front corner where we're going to mount our NOGOSWITCH. Next, we're going to mount the horn, and we've got a hole already available for us, so we're just going to use that. And you can always drill a hole if you can't find one. Now we're going to take the ground strap from the horn, and we're going to grab one of the silver screws and a star washer, and we're going to just drill that in for a ground right here. And then we'll just want to use a manual screwdriver to twist it the last couple final turns, just like that. Now we're just going to pull our horn lead up. We've got more wire than we need here, but we just want to run it to the NOGOSWITCH location, which is going to be here in the corner. We'll fold this up, tidy it up after we get it hooked up. Now we're going to tie into the ignition using our red and blue ignition wire leads. So what we're going to do, this vehicle has an aftermarket high performance ignition. The wire we want to use has already been spliced in, so we're just going to unsplice it, and then we're going to tie it in on both ends from source to destination. Here's our ignition wire that we spliced. We're going to take one of the male leads that came with the ignition wires, and we're going to crimp that on. Now that our male spade connectors are crimped on to our ignition wires, we're going to take our ignition leads. We'll take the red one and we'll hook it up to the ignition source. And then we're going to take the blue lead and we're going to connect it to the ignition destination. And then we'll run the wires out to where we're going to have our NOGOSWITCH. Now we're going to mount the NOGOSWITCH. We'll use a manual screwdriver to go the final turns. Just like that. Now we're going to put on the NOGOSWITCH ground strap. It just connects to the black wire. In this instance, because we have a horn ground right in this location, I'm just going to reuse this location instead of drilling another hole for ground wire. So I'll just reuse that same spot that we hooked the horn to. Now we're just going to hook these wires up according to the color code on the wire. So the white, that's our horn. I'm going to hook that to our white NOGOSWITCH wire. Our ignition leads, going to be red and blue. And then our kill switch leads, which we ran out first, green and yellow. We'll come back in and do the heat shrink on these and tidy up the excess wire. Try and conceal all our wires in the existing harnesses or get some new harness material to get everything nice and concealed. So what you can do is you can come back and take these connections, use some of this heat shrink tubing that we supplied, and put those over the top. And then you can use a lighter or a heat gun to heat shrink this connection and slide that over the top and melt that and give you a nice waterproof connection. Got some zip ties in the kit. And you can kind of tidy these up and then get them tucked away and concealed as much as you can from any thieves. Now we got everything wired up and everything's tidied up and concealed, and we're going to give it a test. All right, let's give it a test. Works. Okay, our kill switch is off. That's in our hidden location, and now we're going to try and start it, and we should get it to run. There we go.